Hag Sameach. I'm Rabbi Brad Greenstein. I hope everyone's having a meaningful Passover. Coming to you here from Moishe House headquarters in San Diego, where we're busy eating lots of matzah. I actually like the stuff, despite its cardboard nuances. But what I love most about matzah is that it's a metaphor. On Passover, we literally eat the symbols of our tradition, and all year long we puff ourselves up. We puff ourselves up with arrogance, greed, selfishness, self-deprecation, all sorts of stuff. And Passover and the eating of matzah reminds us to get back to the core of our being, to release ourselves of all these additives. We add all these extra things into our life that during Passover we're ready to let go of and say goodbye to, much like Tashlich during Rosh Hashanah, where we throw those breadcrumbs into the river and say goodbye to them. All week long, we eat this symbol to remind ourselves of who we are at our essence. Matzah is, after all, just flour and water. It's a basic element of sustenance. And we too, our soul, has an elemental nature that's beautiful. And we want to get back to that nature and get back to that essence all week long during Passover. And so we're nurturing our essence, we're nurturing our souls, and we're also nurturing our ability to listen, to hear. One of my favorite teachings from Passover comes from a teacher of mine, Dr. Aryeh Cohen, who's an activist and author and rabbi in Los Angeles. And he always taught that the most important moment of the Passover story is not what we think. It's not the splitting of the Red Sea. It's not the 10 plagues. These paradigmatic moments that movies are made from. What's the most important occurrence that happened during the Exodus story? It's in one line, Vayishma, one word, and God listened. Vayishma Adonai, and God listened to the cry of the Israelite people. When the Jewish people were crying out and they were slaves and they were having a horrible time and oppressed and really tortured at their soul, at their essence, they cried out to God. They screamed, Vayishma Adonai, and God listened. It didn't have to be that way, right? It's the opposite approach of Pharaoh in the story, right? Pharaoh doesn't listen. Let my people go, let my people go. No, right? Pharaoh deafens his ears. He hardens his heart, or his heart is hardened. But Pharaoh remains deaf to the cries of the people surrounding him. But the mystery of the world, Shema, the very word that's the first word in our mezuzot, the very word, Vayishma Adonai, God actually, the mystery of the world, listens. And then everything changes. Then the rest of the story ensues, and we march on to freedom. So we have in front of us two paths. Two paths are illustrated through our story. The path of Pharaoh, one of deafening the cries around you, one of not hearing, and the one of listening. The one of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the one where we open up our hearts, our souls, and our ears to the cries of those around us. And we have that choice. We make that choice every day. We can choose the path. We can choose to be Pharaoh, or we can choose to be like the master of the world. But the key is we have to set ourselves up. We have to set our lives up in a way in which we're able to actually hear the cries of those around us. How often do we isolate ourselves? Do we build walls and gates and situations where those cries cannot be heard, where we tune our souls away from that which is really, truly screaming, yearning, and crying out to us? So this Pesach, I want to bless us all that we take time to listen to the sounds inside of ourselves, to the sounds that cry out from around us, and get back to the essence of who we truly are, which is a soul that listens, that hears, and responds to those who call out to us.